Guess I should start my video. All right, welcome everybody to part 2, class 6, which is the last class of landscape painting from beginning to end. And in this portion of the class, we are going to be looking at all of you guys' beautiful work, which I'm super excited for. So I'm just going to immediately pop over to share screen and going to look at our Padlet page. Okay, everybody sees that. Great, you guys can see our Padlet page?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, great. So there's our videos, notes and handouts, reference photos. Dawn was so very nice. Thank you, Dawn, for sharing all the photos in progress. That's pretty neat to see. And yeah, Lisa, we talked about this video last week. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's amazing. I have no idea what that guy's doing or why his palm prints make these marks, but a very fun video.
Great.
All right. Is Allison here with us today?
I'm here.
There you are, Allison. All right, let's talk about your nice, good transitions. Version 2.0, I like it. I wanted to challenge myself in attempting more of the transition colors in the sky. This went a little more into the Technicolor realm than I had planned. It doesn't lack for drama, that's for sure. I do like the sky and water reflection, although not sure about the trees, both in foreground and background. I might be done, but it feels like there could be room for more tweaks. All right, well, that brings me to my something. Yeah, it's when do we know when to just kind of move on to the next painting? Sometimes I think it's
On
just
the list.
yeah, put it on the list. Sometimes, you know what, I just paint and then I just go, you know what, I've learned my lesson here. I've learned a couple lessons and on to the next painting. I'm constantly reminding myself every painting is about the next painting. And that's the most important thing to me, is that I'm continuing to learn and continuing to grow. And then I also remind myself that I love painting and I hate fixing. So if I'm spending too much time fixing, it's not as enjoyable as the act of creation and painting. And sometimes, sometimes just stepping and sometimes I just literally start another one, do the same thing, but just take what I've learned and what I'm wrestling with and just do it. And sometimes it's 10 times faster just to paint it again than it is just to keep painting over it and fixing all the little minutia that's getting in my way. But I like it. I like a lot of what's going on here. I think I think it's definitely a better painting than it was previously. You've gotten rid of the kind of green in between. You just went from kind of yellow to blue, if I remember correctly.
Right.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your experience doing this, and did you enjoy it? Are you happier with it, or what are you thinking?
I think what you said kind of summed it up. I felt like a little bit like I was overworking it to get it to this point. And I think when I was done, I felt like, I think I'm done with this.
Yeah.
But I also, because I spent a lot of time trying to fix the sky, I felt like I wanted it to look finished and not just feel like, okay, I've accomplished what I needed to with the sky, and then I'm not sure how the rest of it kind of came together. But I think overall I'm happy with it. But I think it feels like it's maybe time to move on.
Yeah, exactly. Oops. Yeah, I think and you know what, one of my students has done in the past too, is on the back, she attached a piece of paper and literally just said, things I've learned, what I would do differently, because whether a painting is successful or we deem it a failure, as long as we look at it and analyze it and say, what would I do differently next time, both the good and the bad, every painting is worthwhile. And
definitely feel like the process of this, from the beginning with the value studies to the color studies to, version 1.0 to 2.0, was a huge learning for me. So it was
Absolutely.
definitely super valuable. And, I appreciate all your input. I mean, it's just been sort of hugely eye-opening.
No, fantastic. I appreciate that very much. No, and it's definitely an improvement. It's much more exciting and interesting. And, even though it's still kind of very colorful and, interesting, it's more realistic. And it makes more sense as a viewer, at least to me. I would, there's definitely things you can, learn and explore, but that's why we paint. I mean, oh, every teacher worth their salt will tell you it takes a lot of painting to become a good painter. A
Yeah.
lot of, paintings on the floor, a lot of paintings scraped down, a lot of paintings. And so I'm really proud of you for attacking this again, going back at it and continuing to explore and improve. And yeah, I think that there's a lot that's going on that's going in the right direction. Like these transitions don't quite feel, naturalistic. And I know you can kind of feel that as well.
Yeah.
But here's one of the most fun and interesting things about being in art class, and especially you guys next time when we're talking about color. I hear it all the time is people are like, oh, I just see different, right? Just as we learn about how color works, and you're going to start watching the sunset differently and seeing how, like, oh, it travels in a band, and then these colors are actually what's catching onto clouds, not just into the sky. A lot of the time it usually takes something to catch these colors that reveals them. um and you'll just, as we talk about perspective and atmosphere and, colors becoming more vibrant as they come forward and all these different things, literally all the time I hear from students, I was driving down the road and all of a sudden I just saw this blah, blah, blah thing for the first time in my life, and all of a sudden you're just going to go, oh, that's how sunsets work or why they do what they're doing. And sunsets are amazing and they're constantly changing and there's 100,000 iterations of them. But yeah, I think having done this and beginning to question what it is and what it's doing is going to affect how you look at the sky from now going forward.
I would agree with that for sure. I feel like I'm already applying what you're saying when I'm looking at the sky going, oh yeah, okay, now I'm kind of seeing more different,
Mm-hmm.
it's not just a straight light to dark. There's a lot of variation going on there.
Right. And then you'll begin to ask why. Is it the clouds? Is it the, whatever it is, the angle of the sun? But this is, I mean, there's a lot of beauty in here. There's a lot of really nice colors. You've got some really good design work going on. And, maybe in a year you come back in and play with this a little more. But for now, this is a great example of where you are now. And that's wonderful. And
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Any questions at all or anything else before yeah, what a difference. Dang.
Oh, Cheryl, look at yours.
All right, Cheryl. Okay.
Yeah,
Didn't
that's
skip you this time,
amazing.
Cheryl.
That's beautiful, Cheryl.
Thank you.
Okay. You got my wife's favorite bird in there.
One of my favorite birds too. Don't look too close at him. He's not real structured. However, I wanted this painting because I love the colors in the reflections. And in the beginning, I made the upper part too dark because I know that in reflections, they're stronger or more saturated. And so I actually went through and put zinc white to throw the top back a little bit because it just felt like too much. And it's very busy.
Hmm.
I like that part.
Really good.
Thank you.
I love the rocks, the gravel and the side. You did it without overdoing it, and that part is the mystery to me.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
Well, sometimes you get too much there and you just have to go over it. Like, for instance, in back of the bird along the bottom of that bank, all of a sudden I just took a swipe of something dark across there, like gray and maybe a little purple in it across there, and it just felt so much better that way.
Yeah, isn't it interesting? Sometimes when we knock things back, they become more revealed, and it makes the other areas more special, right? Like,
Right.
yeah.
I had a little, I had too much of some things, and I just knocked everything back. I made the edges softer. But as far as the water was concerned, I just loved those reflections. I wanted to get a better blue. I tried every blue I had, and it just didn't work. So I just used I think it's phthalo blue. But I only used like 3 or 4 main colors in here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like phthalo blue to me. It looks like manganese.
Oh, it might be manganese. The first time I tried to paint with manganese, it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, it's it's a phthalo derivative. That's why it's
I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I tried to mix it with the other colors we were supposed to bring. And it really did scare the crap out of me.
yeah. So what I think
It's a
of
little
when I think of ultramarine, I think that it's leaning towards purple. It's got a little bit
Yes.
of red to it. And when I think of phthalo, I think of it's leaning towards green or turquoise even more.
Uh-huh.
And so you can see that turquoise in there. A lot of times I will mix the two, and it becomes a good surrogate color for cobalt, which is kind of an intermediate blue, but it's quite expensive. So I find that just mixing two cheap colors, phthalo blue, manganese blue hue and ultramarine blue. But yeah, so manganese blue hue is actually a calmed down version of phthalo blue. Hope I'm saying that correctly.
Yeah.
Which phthalo blue, is terrifying to me. I've said in the past that phthalo blue on my palette is like having a pet wolf. It's beautiful, but eventually it's probably going to bite me in the face.
Like Prussian blue. Oh my God.
Oh no, I love Prussian blue.
Yeah, but in specks, in tiny specks.
Yeah.
Well, the key truly is to learn to control them. So if you're going to have a phthalo blue on your palette, I very much suggest having cadmium orange on your palette.
Okay.
They're kind of like equally strong on other sides of the color spectrum, and they can neutralize each other. So if you're going to have a pet wolf, you better have a really good pet tamer there, right? Or animal trainer. And that's how I find those two to work together. Sorry, Donna, I'm not hearing you. Can see you talking. Nope. Okay. Yeah, this is really quite beautiful. What I do see a huge amount in this painting, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that it's very translucent. Almost all your colors are transparent.
Yes, they are.
Was that intentional? Did you want any opaque colors in there?
Not a whole lot, no.
Okay, well then perfect. Because it has almost a stained glass feel to it, right?
Very
It almost has that kind of illuminated from behind feel.
Well, it is
Um,
illuminated from behind. I mean, up at the top there.
Oh yeah, no, surely the
that's
scene
what it
is, but I mean your painting feels like
Oh.
it is. No, yes, you're correct. Yeah. So
You
that's a
captured
great
it.
effect for capturing that. There are areas where I think you could get a little more opaque in some of the darks and cools because these are still feeling very warm, these shadow areas, because they
Yeah.
are red. That's a burnt umber or a transparent oxide brown that I'm seeing in there. I think a little more density of dark probably is not going to get you in trouble. Bringing maybe some of your whatever blue actually over that in some of the darks, just so it's not so it's very glowy.
Okay.
And I want
You
this
said
to be
that
glowy.
before about I needed to get more density in my darks, and I wasn't exactly sure what you meant.
Okay. So okay, so this area here,
Yeah,
even though it's darker and a little bit cooler than here, it's still very transparent. It feels like the light is coming through these leaves, which is what you want.
right.
But it also feels like the light is coming through this dirt
Okay, okay.
you don't want.
So now you said take a blue.
Yeah, if you just put a wash of blue or mix it a little more opaquely, put a tiny bit thicker on there. I know I like to keep my, darks thinner, so you could just kind of scrub in some blue into that. And if we just kind of darkened this
Okay,
area, and it doesn't all have to be dark, maybe just, in the shadow areas where the ground, is
Right.
folding over, or where the dark sides of these trees. I mean, you're getting some of it here in this tree right here.
I did get some purple in there, but that's not always cool.
Yeah, but that works because purple over brown still
Yeah.
has blue in it.
Yeah,
So that blue mixed with the brown and is pulling out that little bit and darkening it. So like in some areas, like where these trees are and stuff, there's enough atmosphere and light. I don't mind them being a little more transparent and a little more like the lights in between us. Again, what you were just reading from John F. Carlson is those, and I can't remember the verbiage he uses, but I think of it as gossamer.
yes, yes.
There's fields of gossamer between us and this, where there's less here. And it feels like that. Like the light is coming through, there's a bit of atmosphere, it's a bit of a foggy forest, but not so much that it's cold and blue and gray. It's just like the air is lifting. So it's really nice. I mean, you've got some nice density here. Like, how did you do it at the base of the rocks, and how did you do it here? I would bring some of that into the darker portions
Okay.
of the shadows. And
Well,
that,
I used dioxazine purple on the bottom of the rocks because I didn't want it. That's, just underneath the edges and the reflection of underneath the edges. I
okay.
used that because I didn't want it to be too black.
No, and that's fantastic here because you've got light hitting the water and bouncing back up. In
Right.
here, these are a little bit more concave, right? It's like a cliff edge that comes over, folds
Yeah.
under. I
Yeah.
would let that get pretty dark. And what's going to happen there is it's going to ground this.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everybody? Or am I being a little too esoteric there?
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, I understand the grounding part. It's just that sometimes you don't know how to go about that.
My thought too is when you approach it so that because it's beautiful as it is, and I'm always afraid of, being sad that I messed with something when I was
Me
happy
too.
with it before. But I'd say if you try to duplicate that darker color that's in the tree, just maybe a few little bits, do a teeny tiny bit, kind of like Monet did in his shadows. If you look at Monet's shadows, there's
Uh-huh.
a few little extra colors just touched
Just
in.
in there.
And then, because you can always do more, but you can't do less. I mean, so maybe just approach it real little at a time and see what you think.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're painting with open acrylics.
Yes, I am.
So you can have a Q-tip right beside you. You can have a paper towel right beside you. You can have a brush. So if you put it down and, oh my goodness, what have I done? Wipe it away.
That's what I did with the head of that bird. I wiped it out several times and it's still messy.
Whatever you did to gray down those rocks in that same corner, you could do the
Yeah.
same in the tree. Mhm.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, when you guys were talking about was it fatal blue or Prussian
Phthalo blue,
blue?
yeah. So there's what
Yeah,
Michelle's
so
talking about the speckling.
I did swatches with the ultramarine, the Prussian blue, and the fatal blue, and and I mixed them with white. So I tinted, toned, and shaded them, and they all pretty much look the same except for when I added the black, when I did the shading with ultramarine blue, it came out darker, whereas the other two blues, they kind of came out gray. So, I mean, they all look the same, but everybody always talks about Prussian blue and fatal blue being hard to work with. So I'd like to know what colors makes it hard to work with, because when I did the swatches with the tint, tone, and shade, there wasn't much difference.
Add just a touch of white to them. And then you'll see the differences. They'll start leaning green, purple, whatever else. But when they're ultra dark, yeah, dark is pretty much dark. Like it's hard for our eyes to see it. If you're putting it down thick enough, yeah, you can make dark a ton of different ways. But once you add any hint of other color, it's going to lean a different direction. So yeah, that's where I often will have like when I mix darks, I'll have a separate little tiny pile or just bring some of it aside and add a bit of white to it and see. And then what also happens, especially with my different galleries, is different lighting, different types of lighting, and all of a sudden different colors really come out to play according to the types of light.
But
Okay.
how do you
And
plan
then-
for that?
You guess what gallery the painting might go to a little bit. You also yeah, I try to play the middle a little bit. So
Okay.
sometimes just if I want like a dark, like in this area, okay? So
Yeah.
what I'm talking about, you see how the bank comes over, folds underneath, and
Yeah.
then comes back. So I'm talking about the darks that are under there,
Okay,
right? So I want those dark. It's like if I was doing a still life, it's where the apple and the table meet, but the apple folds back under.
right,
And then, so that's the darkest dark, is where the apple and the table meet.
right.
And in this case, the apple meets the table right in there.
Okay,
Or the apple meets the table right in there, where it's kind of folding back underneath. Right? Otherwise, you get this nice reflected light coming off the ground, bouncing back up. You know, you get all these other things that are happening with light. But yeah, see how dark?
yeah, it really is. What kind of light you put on things fascinates me, because maybe 2, 3 years ago, I had a show at a local gallery, and they had whatever light they had made everything cooler. I mean, neater. It just brought out colors that they were there, but it just brought them out wonderfully. And so you never know what kind of light is going to be on your picture.
Yeah, so I'm working with the world's best lighting company right now. I just did a presentation with them, and they're going to be setting my studio up, I hope, as a demo piece, and I'll shoot videos for them. It's literally the world's, it has 3,000 light settings.
Wow.
And each light bulb has its own microprocessor and microchip in it.
Oh,
And I'll have a setup. So that was one of the, I don't know if you guys have heard my phone ringing a couple times. I actually texted him, like I'm in class right now, but that's them. So lighting is getting better and better and better. The LED lights when they first came out were horrible, just cold and weird, and now they've got all the different settings. Yeah, I have 3 different light sources setups in my studio, and I have it in both studios, and I will switch between them just to kind of see, and I just have to play the average.
Okay,
I'll even take them outside and just see how does it look outside. I will take them downstairs to where we have just simple, cheap, dimmable lights, which is what most people have, and test it there. And just does it work or no? Okay, it could be warmer or it could be cooler or it's still too light or it's way too dark. You know, it doesn't show up. I just have to play those averages because it doesn't even matter what the galleries have. It matters what the consumer has, the owners have. So
that's true.
yeah, there's no right answer to that. But I do have, well, I guess really only 2 or 3 lights in here. In the old studio, there's more.
Back in the day, they used to say a pink and a blue light recreates daylight. I don't know if that's true or still true.
Yeah, you want a 3300 Kelvin light is your best average of daylight. But yeah, I mean, I still put it up to the lighting specialists when I go. We'll literally talk to them. And yeah, I mean, the big light that's over the top of my easel right now is a cheap LED from Costco. It cost me 28 bucks and I love it. And I put a gossamer sheet over the top of it to dissipate the light. And I might put another, but I need it to be neutral. So, I mean, yeah, it's too wide open. If they put it in a room that faces south versus north, completely different. If they put it in a window that faces west versus, east, completely different. The lighting is so variable. So I just try to kind of hit the average.
Thank you
And
very
then,
much.
and then if they ever complain, I say their lighting is bad.
That covers
Really nice. I hope you will come back in and get rid of this black around the beak.
Yes,
It's a beautiful piece. It's very translucent, very transparent. It's got a great, I mean, literally, if we put some like pixelation, I could see this like in a church window. It's got such a stained glass effect to it. It's really nice. I would urge you, and I talked to Michelle and a couple other people about this, to experiment with not only transparent paint.
okay,
Mixing opacity with transparency is really going to open up your paintings. If my very favorite early painter was Maxfield Parrish, he, is the king of, transparent washes and glowy paintings, but they glow more if areas don't glow.
okay,
You want to make something warm, you got to have some cool around it. If you want to make something glow, you got to have something dull around it.
okay.
Make something bright, got to have something dark around it.
Thank you.
You don't have to, but Diane Lewis. Wow.
wow.
That's
That was
beautiful.
a
Yes.
big jump. Diane,
Yes.
this is beautiful.
Hmm.
Love that
I'm not
reflection.
feeling it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Nicely played. Yeah, I want to hear from you before I start ripping it apart after I just praised you so
Yeah.
much. But yeah, tell us a little bit about this, because this is I guess you've done that one, you did that one before with the fall
Yeah.
colors. You're still painting in watercolors, even though they're oils. But yeah, tell us a little bit about this. Where are you with it? Are you thinking you're done? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking I'm not done. Can you hear me? Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Okay, yes. Let's see. I started by painting the whole canvas yellow and I've struggled because there's just so much yellow. It's like, oh my God, I still feel like it's all yellow. Like I feel like I need to tap it down still more. Anyway, so yeah, that was a struggle, but it's also new to me because I really haven't done that much paint, one color and then put the painting on top of that color.
What did you think of that though? Did you enjoy it or was it?
It was a struggle, but I see how you can, I hope, like really get beauty out of that. That the yellow peeks through every place.
So I will tell you before you move forward, I
Yeah.
appreciate what you're saying. I will tell you that I paint with a number of painters and I've painted, around a number of painters.
Yeah.
And a lot of them say, do not do that.
Oh.
So I will let you know because it's very, very, very difficult, as you know, from doing this to figure out the other colors. Because that
Yes.
yellow is so strong and so vibrant that it
Yeah.
makes all the other colors look like crazy people until you get enough of it covered.
Yes, it was a real struggle. It's been a struggle.
So I just wanted to let you know that because I know a lot of my students are like, well, my last instructor tells us to paint the background bright red. And I've had another class, of students who are like, oh, this Russian painter said paint it all, bright blue. And I paint it bright yellow a lot of times or very earthy red browns.
Yeah.
Don't have to do it that way. And it
Yeah.
has its bonuses and its drawbacks.
Yes.
I think what you're talking about is some of the drawbacks. It's very difficult to judge any color that you put on top of a bright yellow until you get a lot of it covered.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't interrupt you.
That's helpful because it's just been like, whoa, my brain hurt.
Mhm.
But anyway, so let's see, so I feel like, yes, I still need to tamp down the yellow, although I want that feeling like you have in your paintings of illumination in the background, like, I don't know, anyway, but I still feel like I need to tap it down. And what the foreground, the shore, the rocks, whatever you call that, I do not like what's going on. I don't know how to solve it particularly. Again, it's like that detail. Do I paint every rock, which I tend to do? It's like, no, I don't like that. So I'm trying to abstract it, but it does, and the shadows aren't laying down. I don't think. So yeah, that whole area, it's like, whoa, what do I do?
Yeah, so what I'm doing is working from this.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, that's the
It
one.
doesn't allow me to see the rocks. It doesn't allow me to see the bushes.
Right.
So you put it out of focus is what you're.
Yeah, I mean, generally I'll paint from black and white, which I'm also doing.
And
But I didn't want to paint the leaves. I've painted this place enough times.
yeah.
And the paintings that I hate the most of it are the ones where I put the leaves in and I put and I'm losing the Gail feeling that I was after. And I want to get the feeling. What is that initial impression, if we're going impressionist? And so yeah, good job, Diane, because yeah, I literally had to just go enough with the stupid leaves, enough with the stupid
Yeah.
grasses. It's not about that. It's about the forest and the light at the end.
Yes.
I like it. I know that you don't like the rocks, but I like the rocks.
Mm.
Don't mind
Don't
them.
mind them. They don't feel connected. It feels like its own separate entity.
Yes.
And I actually don't see those in here.
Mm.
I think you've made them up a little bit.
Probably.
It kind of looks like a waterfall.
Yeah.
Yeah, rapids right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, uh-oh. But would a wash over the whole ground area help bring it together?
I don't know. You've kind of made an interesting challenge for yourself because again, I don't know what it is you're doing right there.
Me neither.
I think you kind of got distracted. And what happens sometimes too is we make up our mind that something's happening that's not happening.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
So
Hey,
anything else you want to add before I get into it a little bit?
go for it.
Okay. So same thing I'm going to say about your last painting is this is a great underpainting.
Yeah.
If we go to mine, you're going to see I'm in exactly the same spot. What's my name, Michael? Okay. Exactly the same spot. I've just added washes. There's nothing, you know, it's not too described. I'm just basically, I mean, yeah, so much of it. But I've got enough information that now I'm excited to come in here and paint. And what paint now means is, and this goes with Cheryl as well, is some opacity.
Yeah.
Not using transparent paint all the time.
Okay.
Okay.
Oils allow us this amazing benefit of being transparent and opaque. Even transparent oil paints can be opaque when mixed with opaque paint or put down thick enough. So now you've got this glorious underpainting. It's really beautiful. I mean, if you left it here, I wouldn't blame you.
Yeah.
But you know, you got this weird area here. This part's not, you know, developed. It just kind of looks like two different paintings from here to here. You know, so it feels like a painting in progress. That's why I was asking you. Also, like this branch, you know, it's just
Yeah.
kind of a horn, and
Yes.
you've described some things and not other things.
Yes.
So now's your chance, and I urge you, put the medium away, my friend. Put it away.
Yes, whether it be the medium or the water, because I didn't use much medium, must be water.
What are you painting with? Water soluble oils?
Really?
Oh, they're acrylics. Okay, yeah. Put the acrylic, put just straight acrylics.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do it.
Okay,
Squeeze out a little more than you might normally.
right.
I can hear that.
Boy,
They're
when
not
people
watercolors. These are acrylics.
when you know you tell people you're painting and you're in a class and everybody says, "Oh, that must be such fun." And no, it's not. This is not fun.
Have you met my teacher? Pretty mean.
Yeah.
Nope. I'm urging you, and this goes for so many of you. Use some paint. And that is also a reminder to myself, because I'm so happy to make, you know, but this is, and what's going to happen is some of these areas where it's transparent and the light is going through that transparent paint, hitting the white of the gesso and bouncing back out is going to be glorious.
Mm.
And then other areas where the light hits the opacity of the paint and bounces back off is also going to be glorious. And they're going to work beautifully together.
Mm.
And with the opacity of acrylic paint, you can cover and cover and cover and cover. So you no longer have to worry about making mistakes because you've got a nice design. You've got your colors established. You've got a lot of your temperatures established. Now just start mixing paint and putting it on there. And if it's not right, either scrape it back off really quickly or let it dry for 10 minutes and paint on top of it.
Okay.
Acrylics are great. That picture I showed you of the vineyard with the acrylics,
Yes.
that's 3 coats of paint almost everywhere on that painting.
Okay. All right. That's okay. I will keep working. This is very helpful.
All right, so you got your little checklist there.
Yeah.
Say use paint,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and then in all caps write brave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. And
Process.
yeah. And who cares? You've already taken a photo. You've captured this painting as it is, which is already beautiful. Now let's learn, let's experiment and grow.
Okay, I will continue to be brave and use
cannot-
paint.
Cannot wait to see the disaster that you're about to make.
Uh,
Just kidding. No, it's going to be fantastic, and you're going to learn so much.
yeah, thank you. It's very, very helpful.
To learn,
Yeah,
be brave. Go
yes.
for it. Attack. Maybe write attack. And just, yeah, go for it, because truthfully, the students that paint the most and the ones that are the bravest, that literally put paint to the thing and don't timidly try to sneak up on it constantly.
Yeah, that would be me.
You're going to have so much fun, Diane. I'm so jealous of you.
I'll let you know if I'm having fun.
Well, Diane, what I want you to do is take out a little 8x10 or something like that. And I
Yeah.
want you to paint a quick painting. It could be that creek again. Let's do that creek again. That's so basic.
Uh-huh.
You know, the first painting.
Oh,
Do it
yes.
in 20 minutes, 20 minutes.
Okay.
And don't use any medium. Don't do any,
Okay.
baby, just sketch it in barely, and then attack it with opaque paint.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, I'll do it.
I'm excited and scared.
Yeah. Ah.
All right, Don, how we doing?
That's pretty.
Mhm.
Yep. Don, are you there? I see ya.
Is he here today?
I see him, yeah.
Yeah, he's here.
Still can't hear you, Don. Maybe, bummer. Muted it, unmuted it. Is there a chance your microphone is not plugged in?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I unplugged, I had something, I had my stereo plugged into my computer.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
We forgive you.
We
Uh,
like anything.
Yeah, Don, this is, gosh, it reminds me of the Gorillas in the Mist movie. I saw
Done.
it as a little kid, but I just remember thinking, oh, the magical coolness of those rainforests. And there's something really neat. I mean, it has some of the same things as the painting we were just talking about, this kind of stained glass feel. I'm a little bit nervous, you guys, that maybe I've taught you too much about glazing. We need to get some paint on some of these, but this has really got a neat thing going on here. Tell us a little bit about your process, what you're thinking, and where you think it might go, or if you're done with it.
Well, I think I'm kind of done with it. I'd like to move on to something else, but I did several croppings of the 5 different references you had and kind of came up with this one. One of my biggest problems or struggles is when I get a lot of information that's like in the background of the reference, it's really difficult to know how to paint that stuff. And so
Sure.
I just kind of did a wash with a bunch of colors to kind of tone it back and simplify. Because what I really liked about the reference was where you're standing taking that photograph, it's the immediacy of what's right in front of you, not really the background. I didn't think the background was very important. And so it became just sort of a cop out of a foggy, misty background. That was the easiest way to handle it. And it doesn't look like the photograph in the background, but the foreground's not too bad.
Yeah, I wouldn't say a cop out at all, because I mean, there's no doubt in any of our mind that she is the prima ballerina. She is the, Bella of the ball. She is, this painting is about this. I mean, you've got a little bit of a supporting cast, a little bit of a supporting cast, a little bit of a supporting cast, but this background is what allows her to play and sing and, show off her bedazzled dress. And I think that's important. I think that you called it a cop out, where I would have said it was very cleverly played. So yeah, that's interesting that you use the word cop out, because I don't see it that way. I see it as smart handling of color and warmth and cool and everything else.
Well, if I could improve it, I would like to take that background and give it more of the impression that there's trees back there. They're just so subdued. They come off like you said, like you don't always put the same amount of attention to every part of the painting because I wanted the foreground, middle ground to kind of glow. But I felt like there was a lot of information in the background that just I didn't know how to paint it.
Sure. Well, let's look into it. And this is my blurry vision of it. So I apologize for everybody's headaches you're getting right now. But see how there's a little bit of density difference or lighter. So all you need to do is come back and add a little bit of light. And it's, soft edge will work fine. And just carve out. So it's not a whole wall of
Right.
blue green. You can dapple in a little bit. So it's almost like the light's breaking through the edges of those trees will really help just to kind of hint at it, but you have to be purposeful. You can't just dab, dab, dab. Think
Right,
about
because then
what are the shapes that are back there a little bit
right,
and then
right.
soften them out.
Yeah, the problem with doing backgrounds like that is you tend to get, oh, I got some paint on my brush, let's just use it over here, and you get kind of repetitive. And I really struggle with that.
Okay, here's a great trick for that. Count your strokes.
Yeah.
Tell yourself, I'm giving myself like 5. What are the most important 5 or 6 brush strokes or areas I can cover? And call it a day. And you can always go back. You can always add more strokes. But just what's the most I can do with the least? Again, the poetry metaphor, right?
Sure.
And just a little hint of some light, and figure out, think of it directionally. Don't worry about the reference, but maybe kind of a little bit of a vague V shape here, where it's a little more open, and maybe a little bit of light over here where the light's possibly coming from would probably be enough. And I don't think, and I will ask Carrie, do you think anybody looking at this doesn't know that there's trees and things back there? I think you don't need to tell much more.
Okay.
I see trees in the background and shapes. What I see are things that I do myself, so I'm not picking on you, Don. But I see on the right-hand side, 3 trees, then in the middle, 3 trees, and on the
Yeah,
left, 3 or 4 trees that are really dark and but you nicely made the last on the left of that a little bit lighter, but you did that blended thing,
Yeah,
But
that's funny, and I didn't even see that, Linda. See, you're totally picking up on it.
I see it. It's getting better, Michael. But I'm not picking on you, Don,
no, that's fine. I need it.
because it's really a beautiful painting, and there are illusions of trees, like see between in the middle where the bush is breaking up the 2-point prongs right here. No, right over to the right. See the background between the true. I wish I had no. We'll come over to the right there, right there. See how there's an illusion of trees between there, and then over when you jump to the next light space right there, there's still that illusion of trees in the background.
Mhm.
So I don't think you have a lot to do, but maybe break
Yeah,
up.
and I don't even know if I would do what I said. I actually like it, Don. If you wanted to come across it and build some of this up with a little bit of structure, it looks fully transparent now.
Yeah,
There's not any kind of a structure to it, but excuse me, that's me getting picky. If you want to call this one done, I think you're in a good place, Don. I think there's a lot of nice things going on here, and that little, like Linda just said, the little catches of light and stuff are really helping to tell the story that the light's coming across. And yeah, sorry, Carrie, I cut you off there. I was
No,
gonna
you
ask what you thought what you wanted to say, or what you might say about, because you're really good about figuring out shapes and stuff, is what you might think about that background. Do you think there's enough information, or do you think maybe he should come in and describe or hint at some of that?
Well, my only thing is it's a lot of repetition,
Yeah.
So I love the painting and I love the subtleness that you have in the background. And do you have some of those branches, some are further back or more in atmosphere or back in atmosphere? And you have a variety to them, but it's definitely making a rhythm back there. So I love what you've done and how you've edited it and got that glow going on. But I see that thing vibrating back there with those trees all going out the top of the page.
Yes.
So I don't know if you could actually fade out a couple of them in the background with those glowing lights kind of casting over them just a little bit more to
Sure.
something. But
Yeah, the light was supposed to be coming from the right, I believe, upper right.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
I
it
feel that for
yeah,
sure.
as it casts through that whole forest, which you really accomplished bringing to light. Yeah.
Would it help if some of those trees were going in a slightly different direction?
That's a good point.
Back in the back where the stream disappears, there's one that's at an angle. And I like that there because it brings a little more life to whatever is happening back there. And possibly if you had a few horizontal branches or I don't know, they seem
Gang,
to
I'm gonna
look
let you guys keep talking for a second. I'm gonna mute for just 30 seconds.
okay. Anyway,
Yeah, sure.
I was just
Sure.
wondering if that made a difference.
Yeah, Cheryl, I kind of struggled with that. I had some near horizontal branches and I didn't like them. I just thought it took the attention away from the center of the painting. And but I still, again, I still struggle with how do you depict the information in the background without dragging your eye away from the focal point.
Right.
Well, your focal point is really focal and beautiful. And did you use oils or acrylics?
Yeah, it's all oil.
It's absolutely, it's sparkling. The sparkle is sparkling to me. It's gorgeous. And I agree with Michael just making the tree maybe a little dense at the bottom, denser, but you know, if you didn't touch the trees and just did what Michael said to that middle tree, that's your store, somebody's going to buy that from you.
Give it some more structure.
Yeah, that is a beautiful painting.
And your colors are
The
very fresh.
what's that?
Your colors are very fresh,
Yes,
Well,
they're not
very
muddy.
alive.
thank you, Gail. It's not always easy. That tree that Cheryl pointed out at the very end of the creek that's on an angle, that was that big tree that made that A-frame that
Yeah.
seemed to bother
Yeah.
that
Yes.
bothered Michael. So I kind of painted over it, but I didn't get rid of it completely because I kind of liked the illusion
Mhm.
that there was something, and it created a little bit of depth.
Right. Right.
I think these angles coming together here is kind of a master stroke because
Yes.
this one's so subtle
Yeah.
and it leads almost like a tunnel type of thing. So yeah, Don, what I wanted to say about this is if I saw this like in a show and it was on a wall, this is a piece that would draw me in.
Mhm.
It would make me want to investigate it, which is kind of a big compliment. I like to say, well, I'll talk about that in the color class more, but there is something here that's kind of beautifully magic about it. And again, it reminds me, I literally have memories of watching that Gorillas in the Mist movie when I was a little kid. And not, I mean, I loved the gorillas and was it Jane Nonay or whatever her name was? I thought I was gonna have a monkey or a gorilla at some point in my life, but I just remember just being infatuated with the light and like kind of realizing that, and there's something gorgeous here. And the fact that you have all this yellow in the background, but it still feels
Doesn't
cool.
jump out.
You know, it feels cool blue and gray.
Mhm.
It's amazing. I mean, that is a true like impressionist kind of trick right there. You've got optical mixing going on in your painting. And so anyways, yeah, I personally put this one down.
Mhm.
Don't touch it, because just like any of our other paintings, this one has a lot to teach us. And I think this is just a fantastic, and seeing this compared to some of the earlier paintings that you did,
Right.
I'm patting myself on the back as a teacher.
Well,
Really
you made some
nicely
great
put.
suggestions, breaking up masses and eliminating some things and highlighting others. And I mean, that's kind of what I'm here for, is to keep pushing the paint.
Yeah. So next time, you're going to join us for the color class, do you think, Don?
Yeah, I've already signed up.
Great. Great. Because I can't wait to take this information and what you're learning here and to expand upon it. I think
Sure.
this is fantastic. Just walk away. Just say, you know what? This is such a nice step forward. This is such an interesting thing that you've done. Frame it. How big is it?
It's pretty good size.
All right. I would still frame this one. I think this is such an evolutionary step in your progress that I would frame it just so you just kind of that you look at it and learn from it and continue to learn from it. And I don't want to protect it. I don't want you to think, "Oh, I did it. I made it." But
No. It's a mile.
nice.
It's a mile post.
There you go. Thank you.
It's nothing but a mile post.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I really do like this piece. Um, yeah. Thank you for doing it. Thanks for all your hard work.
You know what
Well,
I
thank you,
find?
Michael.
You know what I find in this? I see that touch of red on the right, and then it's in the middle, and then it's over on the left. It's absolutely perfect to lead the eye, and it lets you wander into the back, and then you have the red brown down here, and it just keeps you in that circle of that glow, and it's absolutely beautiful, Don. Don't touch it.
It gave me chills when you said that, because
Mhm.
my normal instinct would be like, what the heck is this?
I know. I
Yeah.
don't.
Why is that there?
Yeah.
It's not necessary, but it completely helps to balance.
Yeah, it did.
That's why art is so weird. Like, I can give you all the fundamentals and tell you all the rules, but sometimes that equals that, and
Yep.
that balances that. So it's so weird. I mean, why am I even teaching art? It's so strange.
Oh, Michael. Stop. Look how we're all growing
But
spiritually.
it's like,
Growing.
what are the rules? What are the guidelines?
There are no rules, not the right.
There are no rules.
There are no rules.
It's
There's
just what
guidelines,
works.
but yeah, sometimes and that's just it. We play, right? I mean, I don't even know, Don, what you were thinking.
I don't know what that is
I'm gonna
either.
put a red
You did it
dash.
subconsciously, Don.
Flower.
But if
I
that
think-
wasn't there, I mean, let me cover it
It's
real
magic.
quick. Let me
I
cover
forgot to
that.
clean my brush.
No, don't take it out.
No, but I'm saying let's cover it and look at it. All of a sudden becomes lopsided.
Yeah, yeah, it's part of the balance, because my eye just goes right across to these others, and then it wades into the background, into the soft atmosphere back here along the river and the lake and whatever this creek it is, and it just brings me back around. You did it, Don. You did it.
Well, thank you very much.
I
But it
want-
could use a lot of work, I still think.
No, paint another
course.
Not
one.
this
But
one.
Not the
But I'll
one.
do it. I'll put that effort in the next painting.
That's it.
And just, I mean, you know what? You got 3-4 weeks. Paint it again if you
Sure.
want. Just see what happens. I mean, you don't have to always be moving forward, but anyways, good job, me. I'm a good teacher.
You told him that.
I wanted to just say also, I wanted to say something about the painting. I think it's beautiful. It drew me in. I love your rocks there.
Yeah.
I like that muted background. And I want to say too, that the trees, Michael talks about trees being like dancers, and so they are kind of stylized looking as far as being more swoopy than having angled branches. But it kind of gives that feeling of a dance and of a sway, and I just think it's really lovely.
You're
That's
right.
interesting. Nice way to put that.
Beautiful, Michelle.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that gets down to rhythm, that gets down to movement, that gets down to, yeah, gosh. I mean, I wish our classes were 10 hours long and every day because there's so much to talk about.
I know.
You guys are so fun to talk to about it. And you guys are all so open and so curious, and yeah, love it. I also just wanted to quickly just do this and this. And what a difference.
Wow.
This just doesn't have the life or the movement or the zest or whatever it is. You know, this is a fine painting, but what a difference. Nice job. All right. Gail, 1 minute ago, good catch.
Yeah. Same.
All right, Gail, let's
And-
talk about what you got going on.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it at all. It's,
Oh,
it's not
okay.
done.
Is
Well,
that
I
the
don't
same
know.
as
It's pretty
this?
Yeah,
nice.
it's the same. I posted it twice on accident.
That's okay. Interesting, Gail. All right. Let's hear what you got going on here and what you're thinking a little bit.
The paint strokes are too way too busy. Nothing stands out. There's no, there's no life to it, I don't think. It's muddled.
Oh,
There is a beauty to it.
Yes.
There is there is a harmony to it. Unfortunately, I like this way better.
So
And
do
I
I.
actually don't even understand the relationship to it.
Yeah.
I feel like, see how these trees all go off the top?
Hmm.
For some reason you didn't trust your sense of perspective.
Yeah.
good point. Yeah.
Hmm.
You were in the forest here. And you were looking through the forest, and there was not an out, like there wasn't a sky, there wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I've been.
I lost it. Yeah.
Yeah. The good news is you have that photo. What I would do, Gail, if this were mine,
Hmm.
is I would let it dry. I would wash the whole thing with your red oxide brown again, or whatever it is.
Hmm.
Make it a monochromatic painting.
Hmm.
And I hate to say it, but it's almost like a step back. But
Yep.
refigure this out. And there's times when I have to do that. Like when
Hmm.
I think what happened is you're like, oh, I can create this opening in space and we can actually see the sky. But in this, it's just dapples of sky showing through. And I hope I'm not being too rude or
No, not at all, because I agree. And that's part of what I was getting at when we talked earlier, when I said I'm good at the underpaintings and I fall in love with the underpaintings and I can't pull it off when I put the color on it.
you can definitely pull it off. But what happened is you forgot what it was that you were painting for a second.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks totally different.
Yeah.
It really looks different.
Mhm.
For me,
And I
that
used a lot of opaque paints on this, where
Yeah,
I
I
would
think-
normally use transparent paint.
I think you lost some of the branches when you,
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think for me, the first one, the underpainting,
Mhm.
drew me into that bottom right, the plant on the right, and just right over there. For me, there's like an entire story in this. I love it. And then when I looked at the painting, overpainting, that contrast, I don't see it. So I felt like I kind of lost the main character of the story, although
Mhm.
it's beautiful. And
Yeah.
I really do love, I love what you did with the transitions with the colors and the water, and
Right.
Yeah,
so
beautiful
that's
colors.
absolutely lovely.
yeah, I
But-
like the pink in the sky too. That's pretty.
Yeah, but I kind of had fallen in love with that plant on the right and the huge part that it played for me.
and then it just kind of,
Yeah, this makes me feel like a kid wading through a creek in the forest,
yeah.
Mhm.
And this doesn't feel like I'm in
No.
the forest anymore.
No.
This makes it look like I'm in a park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, it looks
Yeah.
more like maybe things were drawn instead of the shapes,
Sure.
the trees. I don't know, but that underpainting was gorgeous, and this is beautiful. It's just different.
yeah,
This feels yeah, this sounds maybe bad, especially to Gail, but this feels a little bit decorative.
yeah. And that's why I said it's got a lot of busy brush strokes and nothing pops, nothing stands out. It's just a bunch of busy.
Did you cover over your initial painting, the oxide brown one? Did you, oh, the first one, the one that we all like the
You
most?
painted over it?
Yeah, I painted over it
Oh my,
until I lost it.
My
Oh,
thing here is that when I start, and I have done this in this way, but when I start to do it, it's like in the beginning, it's sort of like coloring within the lines till you get established what you have under. This is an underpainting, but you also have sort of an underpainting on top of that, if you know what I mean, when you first start to put the color in. Does that make sense?
Mm-mm.
No, sorry.
Sorry, I didn't understand that either.
Yeah,
Oh, well, it's just that when I would begin this, I would pick an area, I would pick a color, and I would put the basic part of it in, like the green. I would put the basic green in there, sort of a medium green, and then I'd go back and pull in the darks where she has the darks. I don't quite get how she got from these big trees to the small trees if you were using that underpainting.
because I used opaque paint instead of the transparent. And what I think I should have done is rubbed in like you're talking about, transparent colors over the top of this, like green where it needed to be green and blue where it needed
Yeah.
to be blue, kind of a thing. Because the underpainting would have shown through, but it would have given that little bit of that color direction. And I did not, for whatever reason, do that this time.
Is
Well,
the underpainting acrylic or oil?
No, I paint with water-based oil, water mixable oil.
Okay.
So it's all, and that's, the underpainting is transparent red oxide
So I had a
and a little bit of white.
I tried, I made a note in mind just that I had, for when Michael puts all, like all the blue over everything and then wipes things off,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like so reasonable and such a clear process.
Yeah, and that's what I should have done.
Well, but you know what? I tried doing that, and I think it's because I used oil as well. I didn't use the water soluble, but it was still oil, rather than the acrylic. And then what happened was it wiped away a lot of what was underneath. So that technique for me, I learned this time around. It's like, yeah, you can't always just do that. Remember what's underneath. So I don't know if that was part of what happened as well, if things kind of got.
some
No.
paintings seem to lend themselves more to this technique than others. There are times when I sit down to do something and I think, oh, that would feel so good to get in there and make this come alive with burnt umber. But other ones I look at and I can't seem to think where I would start wiping out. And I don't know how to explain which is which, but I get a feeling that this is what I want to do. And otherwise I want to just put color on there and start that kind of thing. And this is nice. This is one that lends itself to that.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna say about it. I just brought it into Photoshop, and what I did was took your underpainting and made it exceptionally darker. Did it in 2 layers. How I see this underpainting, and again, it's completely I have no idea for sure. But what I like about it is the lights and the darks, the value patterns. And what happened when you went over it with opaque paint is I think, please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that you started laying in thick, light opaque paint.
Yep.
So you want to start when you go back in, generally I find that it's easier to go back to your shadows again. The shadows give us our structure, so they're kind of always that reminder of our form and structure. So what I did was I went back in. So let's see your initial, there's the initial lay-in. So I added another layer and I made it dark again and darkened it. So let's just imagine that I came in with the oils and reestablished, right?
I lost you there.
So I've gone over this with, and don't think of all of it as dark, but just looking into the darks. So I will start by doing that a lot of times. Why is that? Oh, I don't want to use my stamp tool. I want to use an eraser tool. Then I'll establish those shadows. Oh, this layer. Thanks. And then what I have is basically I've just kind of come in and refigured out. So I'm painting a little that shadow.
Your voice keeps going in and out.
Oh, sorry, I'm not sure why. Might be my my nose. But anyways, I'm just really establishing that shadow pattern, that lights and those darks. And it doesn't even have to be shadows, just the lights and the darks. Where does the ground meet the, where's the big strong shadows? And that, if I just had retained that, I would have the initial design still in there. Right? I don't know if I'm explaining it right.
You
So
are.
imagine those darks.
We lost your voice again.
Why is it losing it?
Audio.
I
is going-
think when you're moving your cursor, something about when you move the cursor, your voice clicks in and out.
Interesting. Okay. But anyways, I think that what might help is working from dark to light. Keeping your paint a little bit thinner and then thicker will help you retain that initial underpainting. And then you'll be able to come across it. Yeah, I've done it so many times where I feel confident enough and I just want to get to the fun colors that are often in the lights and in the highlights that I jump ahead. And then what ends up happening is I end up with this kind of washed out design.
It's mud. Yeah, it's mud.
I've lost it. Yeah, a little bit. And once, it doesn't have to be transparent or thick. There's all these layers in between of how much paint we apply. So the darks, all right, here's the notes I wrote before class just to share with you guys. Sorry. Brushwork to show form and how the light travels. Use brushwork strokes in the way the form goes. For my uprights, think vertical shapes. So lights are thicker. Use a variety of strokes and angles. Brushwork follows the form. Use and be confident. These are just kind of random, but stay away from detail. And then the main ones, and this is something I've used, is thin to thick, big to small, dark to light, and avoid detail. What I see here is that you loaded up a bunch of paint and you kind of overly attacked it almost. You came in thick, you came in light, and then, yeah, it just kind of covered it so quickly. When did you paint this?
Last couple of days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you take the paint off?
Not after a couple of days. If it was yesterday, you maybe. But yeah, again, we don't always win, unfortunately. And
No,
sometimes,
I think what I'll do is probably start over and redo that.
yeah, I think with this and glazing over it, taking it back to a transparent earth red, just like the sketch. And with the sketch, you can get a lot of this information back in, or just like everybody else, it's just like, yeah, let's take this painting, set it aside, and just say,
Yeah.
okay, what did I learn? There's
Yeah.
obviously some important lessons. And yeah, I mean, everybody in this class knows you're a really good painter. And,
You are.
Thank you.
yeah, you experimented with something different, and
It
you
flopped.
jumped a little bit forward, and yeah, and that's so valuable. I mean, it hurts. Like, it hurts. I've got stacks of them sitting beside me right now, screaming at me. And I just have to say, yeah, okay, what did I learn from this? And it's not always a win. It's and a lot of times we learn the most from our less than successful paintings, and just go,
Yeah.
okay, what did you teach me? You taught me dark to light, thin to thick, building it up, and big shapes to small shapes, and the detail will come. And you know, I can't tell you what this meant to you, but to me, again, I didn't see sky in this.
No.
Maybe a little bit of dappled holes. So it's interesting that they became, one became the other.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're amazing.
Michael, could you reread your notes, just the beginning part again? Brushwork shows form and how light travels.
Yep. So a lot of times with my upright planes, I will put vertical brushwork. And then a lot of times in my shadows, I will also put more vertical brushwork. And that way, when the light comes across, it really shows how light is moving.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then, yeah, the big ones for me, and again, this is just how I find oils to work for me, but it's thinner paint to thicker paint, just how I build it up. Bigger shapes to smaller shapes, because I can break those. If I start getting into detail too early, I get in trouble. Dark to light, because I find that it's easier to cover dark paint with light paint than it is the inverse. Otherwise, you get a bunch of muted, blurry grays. And avoiding detail. Just the detail shows up. It's amazing to me how, like, literally I'll just be painting along and all of a sudden there's just detail on the painting, because I'm just taking those big shapes and making smaller shapes and making smaller shapes and making smaller shapes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Very nice.
All right. Carrie, 1 minute ago as well. Oh, wow. Look at your palm tree. There you go. That's an interesting solution. All right, Carrie, tell us about this. Yeah, gosh, it's really changed. Nice brushwork and interesting things going on.
Well, so I was trying to just play with atmosphere. That was the most current image I had. So with that mist back there, that I was trying to figure out how to do it. And I played with it a few times. I guess I could use a little better light when I'm photographing and in my studio. So my trees in the background there seem to have some random strokes going in different directions, but it's a thing. I went back in a few times. One of the renditions, I had the edge so hard on that marsh grass is on the left. So I went back in on the top of it and softened that up. And then I felt like when we were talking about questions today, I had kind of lost the direction. And so I worked on the reflection on the right along the bank. to help lead the eye back down to that misty place down there. So I keep putting a few more little dabs on this small 6x12 painting, but
Yeah. Nice.
um,
It doesn't feel lopsided any longer. This is a really interesting solution. I would say it might be a tiny bit close. If you ever frame this, it's gonna barely be peeking out.
yeah,
But it kind of works. I mean, it kind of works as a, bookend on this end, stopping the eye. I don't know where it's growing from, if this is just a straight canal, but yeah, it's an interesting solution and it works. I really love a lot of the brushwork and calligraphy that you've got in here. My quick critique would be tangent right here, because the mountain comes down and bounces back up right on top. And then this guy's, I would just take him up off the scene.
all right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, this is working, and you did solve a lot of the issues, that this feels much more naturalistic, the mist, and as things are fading and falling back into space, this hillside feels much more than just a rounded dike kind of formation, much more interesting. Yeah, all in all, quite nice.
So maybe I need to change those are that's trees in the background, not a mountain. I need to make it look more like trees.
Looks good for a map.
It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter. That's a good point,
Yeah.
Don. Thank you. Yeah.
It's in the distance. We don't need to see. We think it's trees or a mountain or whatever they want to think.
That's true.
It-
That's true.
It's really being happy about the shapes and the tonality of it. Does it fit the composition?
Really
Yeah.
pretty.
I guess I could put a little more haze over some of those trees back there, because it was so foggy that day, to kind of bring that impression.
I don't know. I kind of like it.
It's
That's pretty subtle.
I think there are trees on a hill, but yeah, yours, you've rounded it off a lot. Right? It doesn't have all those little.
Every time I touched it, the tree, it was growing. I was like, oh, you need to bring it back. So,
Okay. Yeah, it really appeared like hills just because it was so soft.
yeah, so I should cut the sky in to give a little bit of that treetop shape.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. I love using
Cutting back
the
in.
sky to- Yeah, but I mean, being dyslexic or whatever, I love carving in. I love it. Yeah,
Well,
that's up to you.
unfortunately, yeah,
Just
I
for
didn't
my-
get to
mine's
play
me.
with I'm sorry.
Oh, nothing. No, yeah, I see it as hills just because all the trees have so much texture that I'm not seeing that there. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I sent my forest painting away. I couldn't play on it anymore. So I did love that scene, but I wasn't ready to go back in and start over again.
No worries. I think you did resolve a lot of the issues, and yeah, hopefully it sells and you never get it back. And if you ever want to do it again, you can. Yeah. No, that's interesting. Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. There's Gabba. All right. All right, Linda.
All I did was work on this piece all week, every day.
There you go.
And I don't like the right-hand corner with looks like a guy, a giant walking, looks like pants. I'm gonna-
It's
Isn't he, isn't it a man walking by? I see him. But I have so much more to do on it, Michael. But
Hi.
please tell me about my
Rochambeau.
water shape, if my water figure is out of shape. Is my water going uphill again?
A little bit. What I would do is bring some like this dark
Uh-huh,
mid value. I would kind of probably bring that across a little bit.
Okay.
Or what you're going to want to do is straighten that line a little bit. And it
Okay.
doesn't appear to be going behind this. See where this point of
Yeah.
this and this literally match up.
okay.
It just kind of feels like it's almost more like a pond in the forest.
Yeah, so bring the like right there, bring that down a little bit, or
I would, yeah, bring
the
that
whole
down.
thing down in the light color behind it.
Yep.
Okay. And I lost the rocks, the tiny rocks, and big rocks appeared. I don't know where they came from on the.
No,
Yeah,
that's fine. I would prefer that. Simple is better at this stage. Again, the detail will come.
yeah,
I don't have a single pebble in mind.
yeah. And the left-hand side is a total wreck. It needs work, a lot of work.
And are you doing oils right now?
No, it's just black and white acrylics with a touch of burnt umber in places.
Perfect, perfect. That way you can just kind of cover things up and
Yeah,
rediscover. I mean, yeah, I think you're in a good place. I think you're figuring things out. Some of these trees, as they fall further back, I would, begin to
Yeah.
lighten them up. They're all being treated. All the trees on this side are black. All the trees on this side are a little lighter.
I know.
Figure out, and yeah, I think you're off to a good start. I think this is, again, it's a complicated scene. I think you're figuring it out. Remember when I put the bank in, just the dark line, even though I knew it wouldn't stay?
Yeah,
Just try to figure out what's the flow of this creek. What's, where is it
yeah.
turning in and moving and
I think I'm gonna go back and look at Don, what he posted to, and just take little photos on my phone so I can pull it up quickly and look at it and straighten it out.
Yeah, I mean, Don did, simplify it quite a bit. I mean, he just zoomed in.
Yeah, 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 that's
It
so
is a tough one because, we've got this tree jam back there, so.
great. Yeah, it's so beautiful. I love it. I absolutely love that. I'm so glad Cheryl and I decided on that for the she loved it. And I see the beauty in it. And I miss walking through the woods as I used to do in the country and find these bayous and creeks running like this. And so it's, my heart's right there on the bank splashing in the water.
Absolutely. Well, squint your eyes at it, or let me bring up the blurry version. Right? There's no pebbles, there's no rocks. It's just,
Yeah.
We don't need information. The information will come, the detail will come. Just, it's so hard to say. We're so attracted to it. Like, oh, look I can't wait to paint 1 million little tiny pebbles.
Yeah.
Or 1,000 leaves, or, all the moss, all the grass. But no, squint your eyes at it and see the big scene. It's going to be, and look for the lights and the darks and how are things moving and traveling through it. How's the light traveling through it? How's the water traveling through it? All those different things. Get those first.
Okay.
And you're doing a good job. I mean, you're getting into it. You're zooming in, you're going towards the right direction.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Great.
And how do I resolve this guy walking through the woods, this giant? I have to take him out. I just have to take that out.
You could just make that back leg even shorter.
Yeah.
And do with your coat, your light or your colors to make one of those. You have to decide which one's in front.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because they're almost, they just look the same. You're right. And they're treated the same. And I don't know. I mean, I think having a cool giant walking through your forest might make a pretty interesting, fun scene. I don't know.
It might.
Sasquatch, yes.
Oh, I read they're radioactive, so don't go talk to one if you see one. People are dying of cancer that get too close to them. That's the story these days.
All right, well, if I was ever tempted to get up really close to a Sasquatch, if I saw one, now I know.
It'd be a heart attack, not cancer for me.
I
Mhm.
know, on the spot. Oh, but I'm a science nut and I read all kind of things, but
I don't know if that's science, but.
I don't know.
Science fiction, maybe.
It's pseudoscience, you know, pseudo. But
Awesome.
this, I posted this so you guys could see that and find it. It's everywhere.
Oh, oh no, it is pill. So it
It
looks
is
like
pill,
drink.
it's pill, yeah.
All right, I'll write. I started writing the note down. GABA, calm mind. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. It just puts you in a nice sleepy, it helps the melatonin.
Ooh, that's pretty.
Yeah, that is.
This is Lisa Fairbanks, who's not with us today, I don't believe. She normally does the big rocks and the desert scenes. So this is a big departure. And I remember she turned in one last week. Let's see if she left it up or if she deleted it. Oh, she turned in so much stuff. Yeah, what a difference.
Wow.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but this seems so rudimentary and heavy-handed, I guess. And then all of a sudden we get up to, and all these are beautiful too, Lisa. If you ever want to get a feedback or critique on these, just give me a call during Christmas break. Yeah, so
Wow.
this is just coming along nice.
Nice.
What it does look right here is like a creek leading into a bigger creek. And I think that has to do with the turn, this angle being up, which is a shadow where the bank is, but actually this creek is going to turn back around. So that would be my only design issue. But I know that because I took the photo and I go to that creek all the time. So yeah, do you guys see how this feels like a big creek with a little creek feeding in? That's fine. That's cool and different. Yeah, it's interesting. It feels like there's an opening with light coming across. I still feel like you're pushing the tops of these trees. We don't actually see the tops. It's just more light getting through where the trees are getting thinner. Yeah, see, we're not seeing the tops. We're just seeing where the trees are thinner towards the top. So I don't think you need to put in the tops of the trees. And I think so just taking those up, and then the sky could be a lot lighter, and possibly. But nice job, nice complicated design, interesting. The light, you can really feel the way the light's moving. Now I think our next thing would be temperature shifts, because right now it's lights and darks. If we want a warm light or a cool light and warm shadows, whatever it is, I think this is a great beginning. She says, unfortunately, I'm going to miss class tomorrow. I have to fly to New York. I'll watch the video when I return. It was great being in class with all of you talented people. All right, what a kiss up. Just kidding.
She's sweet.
But yeah, great start, Lisa. I think you're off to something. I'm going to ask you to start thinking about temperature a little bit. And yeah, really nice. And feel free again to give me a call and we can have a quick chat about she turned in so much nice stuff here. Man, gosh, she's really working hard, doing a lot of paintings. Yeah, she's been
Does
like that
she live
since
in the
I've met her.
desert? Does she live in the desert somewhere?
She's in Colorado, but they visit the deserts a lot.
Okay.
And I think they did a big road trip.
It looks like Utah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, beautiful. These color
They're
studies are
beautiful.
interesting
Yeah.
and nice structure. So what Lisa, right away, Lisa and I established that she wanted to do rocks and loves these formations. But what wasn't happening is there wasn't a lot of structure to them. So we've been talking about that a lot and working on that. And man, yeah. Be like Lisa Fairbank and paint a lot and just keep working, keep working, keep working. She's doing great. Lisa Holmberg. Okay, wow. Interesting. This got dark. Is this over the underpainting, Lisa?
Yeah, and it's kind of yeah,
Okay, great.
but I feel like it's still kind of an underpainting.
Yeah, I would say so. I think, I have been repeating myself today, painting from dark to light. So you definitely have a lot that you can come in and light this up. Also, where's your light source? The water feels like the sun's kind of up above out of the scene a little bit.
Yeah.
And then horizon line feels like the sun's dipped down below the horizon line and is kind of illuminating some clouds from the back.
Yeah.
I'm not even letting you talk. I'm going so fast here. But also the other thing I'd be nervous about is this tangent of clouds going right up along the trees. I think that was even something you talked about, is how things don't quite know each other exist in space.
Yeah.
But it does feel like these clouds are kind of clinging to these trees a little bit. So yeah, I would first thing, where is my light source? Because here again, it feels so light right here that I feel like it must be reflecting from something up above here. Does that make sense where I'm kind of pointing up above?
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, it was dark
Good.
and yeah, kind of very glary, but you're right. Yeah. And when I initially had the color going across, it looked more like stripes. So I
Mhm.
tried to kind of blur that out. But yeah, you're right. It's down farther than it works on the water. So yeah, good catch.
And
Thank
have you done most of this with glazes, it looks like?
Uh,
Because
ye-
the paint feels really dark. I think, yeah, I mean, I think like you said, that as kind of an underpainting, but you have a lot of room to lighten things up
Okay.
and kind of reveal things. I think, yeah, I would lighten this sky up quite a bit. Even
There's
if,
a
go ahead.
there's a little stroke of I think it's just where her brush picked up some paint on the right, a little over
Right
down
there.
trees, right by the lower over, just nope. It's right above the tree line.
Oh,
And it looks like a little bit lighter. It almost looks like the sun is just barely tipping, no, down from
Yeah,
there.
I see it.
Right there, right there. That almost looks like the sun is setting. So if
Mhm.
she were to play up on that and make that her light source, that could be the reflections in the grass and things below could be absolutely gorgeous.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I would probably make this darker, all of
Mhm.
this. You could
Yep.
go darker. Yeah, that's the other option.
Yeah, but I would play up that little bitty brush stroke you've got there as a setting sun.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, where's the light source? Where is the sun? I think is really going to help you.
Uh-huh.
And that will help establish, is light hitting any of these grasses? Is it reflecting in the water? Is it, if it's this low, it's probably not reflecting in the water even, or if it is, it's barely.
Yeah.
And that would make all this water would be reflecting these shadows if it's still water. If
Yeah.
it-
But you
Yeah.
could bring that sun up a bit.
But I meant that the sun was supposed to be on the kind of upper left, farther up. I think I just mushed something on
Mhm.
the right hand side. It's been a learning thing. I also had to like redo the structure because the perspective was bad and the water was uneven. And it's still somewhat uneven, but it's closer. So this was a fixing painting.
Right. I could cut this angle down a little more.
Okay.
And then it'll open up and feel like it's coming down. Beautiful tree shapes.
Mhm.
Love this silhouette of the trees.
Mhm.
I would be so happy to have painted that.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Michael,
Um,
did you say you had a worksheet on trees?
I
Somebody
believe it.
recently said they had one, and I'd love to see it if that was.
So the one below that, yeah.
There we go.
That's one that I tried to leave more to the imagination. especially with the tree. I don't know if that worked or not. And I have a
Yeah.
darker.
I mean, I like the values are much more pleasing, like I'm not guessing. And I like the colors and I like the light. It feels again like the sun is just kind of set. It's still illuminating the clouds, sort of, and that feels much more naturalistic. Um, Not sure why that, this is lighter than that. Because this kind of feels like maybe it's all of a sudden being hit by light a tiny bit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Um, yeah, it's an interesting mix, but I like the sky a lot more. I like the shapes. I kind of understand where things are and what's going on a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a huge shape. So I don't know if you might want to bring in any kind of a sky hole or anything to break it up a little bit. It doesn't bother me too much. I have a lot of artists that I really like, who do, big solid masses, that kind of take in. Yeah, can you tell me where you think the sun is in this one?
Kind of, well, same, kind of the same place as the last one, actually. Yeah, right around there.
Okay.
Lighter.
I wonder then if your sky's not too dark, possibly, if the sun is still in the sky.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think lightening up the sky in both instances is going to open it up to you and present a lot more opportunity. And then I would pinpoint it. I mean, just, just tell yourself, okay, the sun is here, or below the horizon line or above the horizon line or wherever it is. But just know that thing. And that will help dictate so much of the light and what's happening. Yeah, with your lights, with your shadows. Yeah.
So I'll
This,
just keep working on that because I was
neither
trying
one
to
of
do
them.
that, but
Yeah, I mean, both of them are great. And within, 10 minutes of adding some light and color, you're going to be right back into it. Nothing's gone. You just have to kind of be a little bit brave, kind of get some light, get some color into it, and reestablish where you're at.
and part of it is also the camera because I could not get it to just take a picture. So it kept like making everything very dark.
Yeah.
So I tried to put two pictures in to show that the color is actually somewhere in between, but yeah, good comments. I really appreciate them.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, and good job. And then this is pretty unto itself as as an image. But I think that you can tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so under mine, I've attached some of the images, and just like Lisa was saying, I had a hard time. Like, this is actually all blue. You guys saw me paint it. I don't know why it ended up like this. Ugh, I should just delete that. I'm gonna delete it and then see if I can't rephotograph it better. But that was the acrylic that I did upside down. That was the other one I did in class. And this is where I'm at in this painting. And who knows, I might just save this until the color class. Or something like that, because we're definitely not gonna have time today. We're already a half hour behind. But just so you guys can see, and again, I realize these are just hideous marks and colors, but I don't care, because this is just information for me to move forward with the painting. So yeah, I don't mind. It's at least a little bit prettier than this in real life, but yeah, I don't feel too bad about where that is as far as an underpainting. Michelle. All right, wow.
That's nice.
Beautiful.
It's
Mhm.
beautiful, Michelle.
Well, thank you. It was fun to do. It's obviously an underpainting. I also pre-painted the canvas with a light yellow and then tried to really focus on values. I had fun actually using a palette knife for the general sort of lines hinting at trees. And then I was planning on going in with acrylics and striving to add the suggestion of foliage and try to keep the values, adding the acrylic, or sorry, I was going to go back in with oils, not acrylics. And so maybe I should do more colors with the acrylics as an underpainting, or should I just go right into the oils and try to maintain the the illusion of foliage and all the values and all that? I'm really focusing on values.
I would keep with the acrylics for your values. I think that there's a lot of darks and kind of mid values that you still have yet to build up, unless you want it much more open. This feels like a much more open forest, right? It doesn't have all of the shrubbery and everything else, right? Like you can actually see through it. And so that's up to you, because this is kind of a design choice, almost like somebody's kind of cleaned it out a little bit, or just, there's lots of forests that are just
No,
don't
I
have
was fully
ground.
intending on putting in some foliage, but I was thinking about doing it with the oils, but I could stick with acrylics. And so should I do acrylics with color or stick
I'm not gonna say yes or no on that. I don't know if glazing it in yellow to the very beginning, I would be nervous because I want to protect that a little bit, and I kind of can see that in your work a little bit, that you're trying to preserve those yellows. Ignore the yellows. And let's print a black and white of this. And let's work from that. Okay. Once you feel like you have this in values established, however you want it, however you design it, whatever you end up doing, then if you want to come over it with yellows, then you're great. You can do that with acrylics. You can do it in green, you can do it in blue, you can do it in red, whatever you want. You can do it like I did it, where I did it in I just kind of glazed into it in areas. I did mostly yellow, then I did some bluer areas. And again, I'm just using these as notes. I'm not going to try to protect any of these gruesome, funny, colors, but they're just notes for me.
Yeah,
So
I wasn't necessarily, I'm not trying to argue because I'm listening. That background is completely unfinished, but I just tinted the canvas with the yellow, and I'm definitely, just so that in case a little bit peeks through here and there might be some harmony with that.
sure, absolutely. And you can, again, like I said, I would just come over the top of it once you get your acrylics values established, that black and white that I was talking about, then just glaze it in yellow, and the same thing will happen. Yeah, I would just ignore the yellow that's there for now. Get your design, get your values established. That's your most important thing now. Yeah. But I mean, this is kind of beautiful. It reminds me of forests in like Germany, where it'd be just covered in leaves, right? Like all the leaves have fallen and it's pretty open and airy. But yeah, if you want it to be closer to this, where it's dense and full and everything else, then yeah. And like I said, I would simply look to that. And then once you do that, you can, I don't know if I can do tint when it's in black and white. Nope, I can't really. But then if you want to glaze over that with yellow before you do your oils, yeah, totally, 100%.
And so you have acrylic over painted in colors, right? On the one that you are working.
Yeah, just some quick washes. Whether it's a good idea or not, again, I usually just do black and white or brown and white and then paint with oils. but I'm still learning it. I'm still experimenting, trying different things. Yeah, I mean, looks nice as a thumbnail. Looks horrible when you zoom in on it, but again, it's just notes letting me know my structure and my design. So yeah, I think you're off to a good start. I think these trees give us a lot of our information of where the structure is and where, things are going to lie. And then you can come in and bring in, more values. And yeah, I think you're off to a good start.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Pat. All right, I see Pat's underpainting here. He says, I used 3 values in the painting. I spent a great deal of time on the thumbnails, thinking about what I wanted the painting to say, what I wanted to emphasize, etc. I wasn't excited to do the value study. I wanted to get in there and finish it. All right. Even before I started, I wanted to get in there and finish it even before I started. I laid in the darks as this was my roadmap. Very good. Then my mid values and lastly the highlights. I didn't look at the reference photo after I did the initial darks. I tried to insert myself in the forest scene to see where the light landed. I have never done that before and it sounds strange. I think that it will convey the silence and solitude of the forest in the early morning hours. Very good. All right. Yeah. I think this is I can see you're underpainting, you're kind of sketching in your big shapes and your big ideas. I'll be curious as you're moving forward. And I imagine that you'll be, using opaque paint because it's all quite dark right now. So if you use much transparency, you'll be able to do it here and in here, but it's going to get increasingly dark. So make sure, Pat, as you're moving forward with this painting, that you're actually using opaque paint, meaning not too much medium, not too much paint thinner, actually mixing up nice, decent sized piles of the paint. Just like we talked about earlier, I would, once you get in there with the paint that you're going to actually use to finish off the painting, I would reestablish, because a lot of this information seems a little wishy-washy to me still, but you may have a better concept of where you're going with everything. But painting from dark to light, from thin to thick, and big shapes to small shapes is really going to help to simplify this obscenely complicated scene that we've chosen. And so, yeah, I will be curious. I look forward to seeing it. The Padlet page will be open for everybody all through the Christmas break and, for a month or year after that. So feel free to continue to share your work on here. And if you do post, and need feedback, let me know. Send me a text or whatever, because I don't always know when things are posted to the Padlet page. But yeah, I think that you've got the big shapes going on. I'll be curious how everything comes together. Yeah, it feels a little bit confusing to me. If I was gonna have to go and paint, and make, okay, here's the underpainting, let's make a design. I'm not sure I would be able to read it, but again, these notes are like shorthand for ourselves a lot of the time. So it's not always easy for others to see what we kind of understand and know to be true. So I'm gonna say I'm curious where it will go, and excited, and I appreciate your doing this. And Pat, I also reached out to you because I know you haven't been able to make it to any of the classes. So if you also would like a phone call to kind of cover and ask questions, feel free to reach out during the Christmas break. And yeah, I'm excited, but I'm nervous. I'm going to be honest. I'm not exactly sure I'm seeing it. Anybody else? Do you guys kind of agree with what I'm saying there, or do you kind of see it differently?
I'd like to see some more definition of the creek. Like, where is the creek going?
Right, yeah. Yeah. So again, Pat may have it all kind of laid out in his mind, and this is just kind of a good starting point. So I'll be curious. So yeah, keep keep us updated, keep posting, and let us know, and let me know if you have any questions. And again, um, feel free to give me a phone call at some point during Christmas break, and I would love to catch you up on other things we've talked about in the class and everything else. All right. Thanks, Pat. All right, Sandy. Ah, look at that. Wow. So this is a different reference, right? The same forest, but a different reference?
That's the one where it was the long picture with the trees with a lot of roots, but I didn't have a long canvas, so I had to fit it. So I had to cut it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And then when I added color saturation to the picture, because I preferred it more that way. So I know
Yeah.
everybody else, I know everybody else likes more muted, but I made this a fiesta, not a siesta.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, yeah, that photo has so much interesting color and beauty. I mean, this is really nice.
This is out of all my paintings, this is my second favorite that I've done so far.
Mhm.
My first favorite being the butterflies I entered into that Monarch show, the Hot
Right.
Wings. Yeah, so this is my second favorite now. I really
Right.
like this one.
Yeah, me too. I really like, I mean, your trees are interesting. They have personality, and you know what I mean? They're not a single tree is the same as another one. Um, Even different types of trees. You've got leaves, you got texture. Um, yeah, I'm really liking it. I would, you know, if I had my druthers, I would like you to come with some opaque paint in some areas. It all feels quite transparent again. Are you, I cannot remember if you're acrylics or oils.
Mostly oils, but since you started having us do acrylics, I really like the acrylics too. But this is oil.
Oh,
This is my first attempt of glazing. So I mean, I'm been in classes with you before, done the underpaintings, but never glazed. So this is mostly all glazing.
yeah. And it's absolutely working. Like, I mean, this is glorious. Love down here, you know, at the area. So I'm wondering if we came back with some opaque paint in some areas that have a little more density so that that transparent glaze is really working to its fullest potential in relationship to that dense opaque paint. I think could even push this painting a little further, but I agree with you. It's really nice. I mean, yeah, it feels kind of
There's
wonderful.
there's only two parts that kind of, if I would were to ever, if I would had a choice to start over again, that I would change would be this big tree on the left. In the photograph, there's like a space between the very end of this tree on the of it. Yeah, see the light. Is that the? Oh, I reversed it, so now it's on the right side. The
Oh,
photo.
the screen.
No, farther over to the right. Okay, so to the.
So they reversed it to look like
Yep.
yours. So
Yep. So see this tree right here on the left with the three more to your left, right there, right there. So see the one with a little bit to the right, a little bit to the right. Yep. See that one coming out, and there's a light between it. So it was so repetitive. And then when I put the yellow in there, it was like, you know how you always talk about having shapes that are repetitive and they look alike. So it just looked horrible when I did it. So then I colored it in darker. But if I had to do it over again, I would have left that part of the tree out.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, nice job. And I do love the glow and stuff. And yeah, this photo for some reason captures bouncing around and within things so much more. So things even, you know, some things are backlit, but even like this tree over here, who's in the shadow, but it's all this reflected light coming back in off the water and off the ground. It also even feels like it's almost glowing. So it's an interesting photo. Yeah, I
And
really
then,
like what
and then
you've
how
done.
you,
This-
how you always talk about, you know, you put in a few dabs here and there, a little bit dazzle, and then before you know it, you've gone too far. I think I did a little bit of that, but I mean, I still like the painting a lot.
yeah.
I like the leaves laying there. Not a
I
lot
like-
of leaves, no, over with on the stones, there's a few.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
just makes it look natural.
Yeah, it ties it all together and everything else. Yeah, this is a really nice piece. Well done, because yeah, it's complicated, it's crazy, there's so much going on. Yeah.
Yeah, especially after the last one that I did, I was so unhappy with the last one. I was like, oh God. You know how you have your highs and lows? That was one of my lows.
I do. I do.
This one I'm
It's
happy
beautiful.
with.
It's
I'm glad
beautiful.
I tried it.
I'm proud of you. And yeah, and you know, you went from the last picture, which you changed so completely from the reference, you know, and you were kind of incorporating like 3 or 4 different ideas, which I
Yeah.
applaud you for. I absolutely do. But you realized, oh my gosh, that means so much more work, so much more research, so many more sketches. Um, so yeah, I think it was nice to see you come back. And this was not by any stretch simplistic scene, but it was all based, you know, on one reference. You still made changes, you know, took liberties, and it's all nice. So anyways, I'm glad that you bounced back, got back on the horse and just kept painting, because that's all we can do. And I swear we never get away from failures. I mean, even the better we get, the more we almost fail if we keep pushing and striving and, you know, trying for new things and experimenting. So I'm glad that you did this. I'm glad that you got a painting that you're really happy with, and I'm happy with. And yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really nice. There are, you know, a couple transitions where the green just kind of stops. You know, I'd probably bring some of that dark back behind, just because kind of looks like there's these 3 trees get a light source, and then back here. But gosh, I'm getting nitpicky. The other thing is this line here is a little distracting. I'd probably kind of break that up.
Yeah, I noticed that line too. It's kind of a hard line there. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, and it's kind of a focal point because you got light, dark, light, dark, light. So it'd be kind
Yeah.
of
What would you do to just
I
add
just
light into
break
it?
that up. I just wouldn't have that straight line. Um, yeah, but all in all, and then yeah, I mean the other thing is I just say yeah, come in with some opaque paint. Like I'd like to see these leaves, you know, not yeah, couple areas, but that's just me being nitpicky, and that's me like if you want to take it a little further, you can, but otherwise be happy.
Mhm.
It's nice. You've done well. Oh, and then bring some of these greens down into the reflection.
Okay.
Nicely played.
Thank you.
All right, Shaunak, are you still there? Are you still awake, Shaunak?
Yes,
How are you doing, bud? I recognize
good.
this place.
Yep.
All right. When's the last time you were at Haystack Rock?
Oh, a very long time ago. I don't even remember. Went there when we visited Portland, Mass.
Nice. All right. Very cool. Beautiful scene. Love the purples and warms and cools.
Yeah, I kind of chose it because I felt like the other reference had a lot. We
You're cutting in and out, Shaunak. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I chose this one because I felt like the forest scene had a lot of complicated elements in it that would take me a bit longer to do. So I
Yep.
wanted to spend some more time on that. So I just chose something that was a bit easier something that I was
Absolutely.
interested in.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, you've got homework, finals, all the other craziness with all the
Yeah.
other things you're already doing. So yeah, no, I appreciate biting off something that, it's the right size is a good choice. And this is still complicated. I don't think anybody would look at this scene and go, that'll be super simple. I'll just jump on that. It's all these beautiful colors and interesting transitions. And it looks like you've gone a little earthier, not quite as bright and fluorescent colors, which is, I actually kind of like your colors almost better. Even though the other paintings really, or the other photos really beautiful, I kind of like these colors that you're choosing here. So tell us a little bit about what's going on. I see like you're either changing your mind or trying
Yeah,
out.
so I was trying to add some variation like with mist at the bottom. I think I'm gonna go over that again. And then for the sky, I haven't done this yet, but I'm gonna add a lot more like bright colors, like pinks, and if you look at the reference photo, there's a lot of like oranges and yellows. So I'm just
Right.
gonna go over that probably today, later today, on the clouds. Right now I just have the darks kind of laid out, and then once I get the sky done, I'll probably move to the foreground.
Okay, I would get the foreground done before you start getting in
Oh,
and
really?
lighting everything. I like to get the whole painting covered. That way you're going to be able to read your colors and how they play against each other a little bit better. A lot of times I will almost race to get my canvas covered and then make all my transitions and all my uh you know the color choices because
Okay,
it'll
so
be
start with
easier
the
to
foreground.
read. I'm sorry.
So start with the foreground.
I would just get it
Okay.
covered. What it does, Shaunak, is it allows you to see the subtle transitions and values and the subtle transitions and colors a little bit better. When you have big bright light areas, it's harder to see them.
Uh,
So like when you want to come in and add, the fog or mist or whatever you're kind of getting and hinting at in here and things like that, you'll be able to read it easier once you get everything covered. And the cool thing is, especially with acrylics, is you can make those changes constantly, right? You can constantly just be coming over it. Um, as you keep painting, if you decide to keep painting and, moving forward, I see one of your tubes of paint back there. Is that what you're painting with, or those kind of paints?
yeah, that's just one. It's kind of a mix. I have some
Okay.
in tubes and then some in bottles like those.
Okay.
It's
So I'll
just kind
let
of
you know that these tubes like this, the bottles, are
uh,
oftentimes called craft paint,
okay.
and it rhymes with crap paint for a reason. They're not very good quality and they don't have very good coverage a lot of times. They're a lot of times done more for like posters or yeah, craft kind of activities.
Okay.
I do use them, don't get me wrong, but just know like, man, these colors are not doing what they're supposed to do. It's because they're a lot of times a lot weaker, a lot
Uh-huh.
more transparent, and they just don't have the pigment load, which means the amount of color in them. So, it's nice to have that as an excuse if your painting's ever not doing what you want it to do. But just know that as you're replacing your colors and as you're kind of building up your arsenal of paints and colors that you have, it's worth spending $1 or two more to get reasonably good paint versus wrestling with bad paint.
Okay.
But those are still fun to use. And I mean, I, as I've told you, I've been using Elena, my daughter's paints, that I bought for her as a little kid. And a lot of those are those craft paints. And in fact, it wasn't until a friend of mine who's a pretty good acrylic painter came over and he's like, "You're painting with these? Why?" He's like, "You're wasting so much time. They're gonna, they're so much more difficult to use." So anyways, I just wanted to let you know. But I
Okay.
think you're off to a good start. Um, yeah, I would say cover it. And yeah, just like you know what, stay in touch over Christmas break if you have a chance and time to kind of get in there and paint again. I know you're really busy and your family's really busy. But if you do get a chance to paint and you have any questions, just reach out to me. I'm going to be well, I want to do a Zoom call with you anyways soon, to talk about something else.
Yeah.
About painting edges on a canvas and stuff. So anyways, I look forward to seeing what you're doing. And I actually really like these colors. I think there's a beautiful harmony and they're not so cartoony as the actual photo. But I'd almost do two paintings because these are pretty colors too. But I think trying to do those colors over this is going to make a lot of heartache. I actually
Yeah.
like earthy colors. This is more of the kind of palette I prefer. So, you know, since you're young and influenceable, I just want you to paint exactly how I like to paint. Just kidding.
Mike, I'd like to just say that if she likes painting with the thinner paint, like comes in those, both Golden and especially Liquitex have all kinds of different thicknesses. Some are very liquid, almost like an ink. And you can combine those.
Yeah.
So if it's something that she really likes something about it, you can probably get a better name but still get something similar.
Absolutely. So Shanik is actually a guy. His for some reason connection actually makes him sound more high pitched than he is. But yeah, so those I learned this recently. Those bottles of paint there are actually dyes mixed in a lot of the time. They're a dye mixed in with a binder. So that's why they act and react so much differently, and they're so cheap. I mean, there's times when I can go to the craft store and find, you know, when my daughter was using them, I could buy them for like 50 cents a piece sometimes on sale. But yeah, they're great for a lot of things. In fact, that glazing that I did over the forest scene that I painted is using those. Just because that's what a friend, my same friend told me. He's like, those are dyes. They're really great for staining and for transparency. But yeah. And Shauna, just to let you know, for some reason your connection sounds really off a little bit. I don't know if your microphone isn't working properly or what, but
Yeah, I had some weird issues with my mic, but we'll see.
very cool. Well, how's school going? You're doing well?
Yeah, it's good. Finals are next week, so I'm busy with that. But
All right. Well,
okay.
good luck. Good luck. Good luck. I appreciate your painting, and I again, I know how busy you are with everything that's going on and with school and all of that. So I appreciate your making the time to paint. Oh, let's talk about the haze. I would not do that just quite yet. And then what you're going to want to do is use your mister bottle or mix a bit of medium to help the paint to keep that mist going all the way across. And what I do is I'll oftentimes put a band of the mist, you know, the white or whatever color I want, and then kind of blend it up while the paint's wet. And then with my paper towel or another clean brush, kind of come back down. So you don't kind of get these hard lines.
Okay.
I'm still totally experimenting with doing that kind of work in acrylics, but yeah. Okay, thank you. I think that is
This is what the Golden liquids of that is fluid, and then they have an ink.
Okay,
They have a couple different things.
I'm gonna do a stop share so we can see it a little better. Okay, yeah, so those are, I think those are different.
I can combine them all.
Great. And are those for printing?
No, no. Some people like to paint in the really thin things, sometimes to put a glaze over it.
Okay, yeah, that's what I was using.
That kind of thing. I like to use the purple if I'm glazing, but I want it dark, but I want it to be transparent, then I'll use Aerodox and purple, and you can thin it easier. I don't know how to explain that, but it's different things that you do. And there's also ink, and the ink can do the, you know, its own thing as well. And I can use a dip pen, and in China, we used a pen, a dip pen, a lot to sign our names and to put detail in. So this is just one of the
That
ones.
might be great for trying to sign with acrylics, because I cannot do my signature with acrylics
Neither can I.
because
So-
the paint pushes to the edge of the brush. And so where I'm doing my signature actually is no paint, and the paint is around my initial. Weird.
Is ink only for over acrylic?
This is acrylic ink from Liquitex. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either. Sorry. Let's first now say yes.
But
I
look
don't
it
want
up.
to get you in trouble.
Look it up. Liquitex and Golden are wonderful with their support. You can just email them and they'll give you an answer. And, you know, can you do this? Yes, but we recommend you do something else. So they're really good with it, and they email you back and forth rather than having to get on the phone.
Great. Well, this seems like a slightly anticlimactic into our spectacular 6 weeks, but I have adored you guys, and watching all of your beautiful paintings and trials and tribulations and successes and all the things that we've learned together. It's really been a lot of fun. I will miss you for the next 4 weeks, but I hope everybody has a great Christmas. Hopefully you get what you want under the tree. And what you deserve, because you guys have all been really outstanding. No coal for any of you, I promise.
The other thing is that since more people are using acrylic than just me, we might want to talk about what colors are available. I don't know what you're getting into, so we might want to talk about what's available.
Cheryl, why don't you have my phone number through through the emails I've been sending out.
Yeah.
Why don't you and I have a talk, because I think you've been doing acrylics probably as long as anybody in here, and I would love to touch base on that, because I've never actually told people what acrylics to buy. And I can try talking to a couple people as well who have done that. But yeah, why don't you and I have a conversation, Cheryl, and make up a list and send that out to anybody that's interested.
Okay. You can go on Blick or online somewhere, Blick or one of those. They have a whole thing of what colors are available. I know that open acrylics have less colors available than some of the other ones. So if you want to go and look at that first sometime, just kind of browse in there and get a feel for what's available, because you'll want to know that too.
Yeah, what I'll do maybe is send them an email and just say, here's my color suggestions for oils. What would you guys suggest as acrylic counterparts?
Yes.
Yeah, and for those of you who, you know, of like, oh my gosh, I already spent $200 on my oils. Don't worry about it. Don't buy acrylics if you don't want to. It's just something that's I'm having fun experimenting with, and I've made it, you know, the last number of years just painting black and white acrylics and oils over the top, and then burnt umber, white and black, and now only recently have I started including full color, and I've got all those drawers full of acrylic paints that I can slowly steal from my daughter. So yeah, don't worry about it. I don't want you guys to go out and invest a whole bunch more, you know, until you find that it's something worthwhile.
There are some good basic sets with like almost tester size, not full size tubes. And you can look for some of those that they have. You can check those out too if you just want to try a couple things.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you, Cheryl. And yeah, it's been fun painting with acrylics. I appreciate you guys letting me go back and forth during this class. Hopefully it's still resonating for both the acrylic painters and the oil painters. And I think they're closer than they are farther apart. There are differences, of course, but I think that for most part, the information still relates. And yeah, any final questions before we part ways, my friends?
When is the next class?
I believe January 9th.
That sounds right, but I'm not positive.
Pulling up my website, michaelorwick.com, and under instruction workshops. The 10th,
January 10th.
January 10th. Yeah,
And did you send out the link for sign up?
I
Or-
did. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah, michaelorwick.com has the links to it, and I'll just go ahead and post the link right now to our Padlet page, and I'm just going to put it under the handouts and see what that does. So it's there right now, and yeah, I have had a blast. I have learned a lot. I've enjoyed working together with everybody and seeing all your work. And yeah, I know we've had a couple injuries and a couple of mishaps and people who are not able to make it or paint. And so hopefully in the next class, everybody's healed up and everybody's husbands and wives are feeling better and parents are no longer needing all the care. And but anyways, it's, you know, take care of yourselves first, take care of your family first. Painting is here when you're ready, and I can't wait to do it with each and every one of you, and keep learning together.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Thank you.
All right, cheers, Cheryl. You're a couple hours ahead of me.
Yeah, I am a couple of hours ahead of you. I needed a little wine today.
That looks good. Looks good.
Michael, I'm going to sign up after the first of the year.
Okie doke, no worries. I'll
Yep.
save a spot for you.
Okay, thank you. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry
God bless.
Christmas.
Great, you guys. Thank you so much. I'm really happy with everybody's hard work. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Michael. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.